Hey guys, as per title of the video, today's car is a heavily modified 1998 Subaru WRX, which I'll give you some more details on in a bit. This car actually belongs to a detailer who came in for a 2-day professional coding certification course that assesses the detailer for readiness to apply and have access to certain professional grade ceramic or glass coatings. During those 2 days, the car was completely decontaminated and approximately half the car was paint corrected and coated. So the top half of this car is actually complete, but the lower half panels have yet to be corrected and coated, which you'll see as we take a closer look. Now the detailer who undertook this course has a full-time job in another profession, but is really hoping to transition to being a full-time detailer in the near future. So being that he had to go to work and I had the next day and a half free before teaching my next detailing class, I decided to finish off the car myself, as it's actually up for sale and should really help him get the best possible price with one heck of a pre-sale detail. Saying that a lot of time and money has gone into this car would be a gross understatement. But just to give you an idea of what I've been told about it, is that it's a sub 10-second quarter-mile car with 400 kilowatts at the wheels, though it could do a lot more with an increase in the fuel flow. The main upgrades are a full-built Brian Cowler 2.7 stroker, reinforced billet sleeves and billet crank, a 1000 horsepower Borg-Warner turbo, a Link 4G computer, 2000cc top feed E85 injectors, stainless steel headers, custom exhaust, external gate, e-boost controller, braided power steering lines, and the list goes on and on. But at the same time, unless you put your foot down, it actually behaves quite civilized, as I found out just moving it from one section of the shop to another. So this detailing video actually starts halfway through the paint correction process, with the roof, bonnet, boot, and a couple more panels already being corrected during the certification course, and the other half of the car's panels yet to be corrected, which I'll be showing you in this video, followed by protecting the paint with a glass coating and showing you guys the finished product. Now it actually turns out that this WRX has had some spray paint work done to it in the past, which was actually a surprise to the owner. But after taking paint thickness measurements, we both realised that there were two quite distinct variations in the readings, where approximately half the car had what seemed to be typical Subaru original paint thickness for its age, while the other half of the car was reading almost twice the thickness, and more than I'd expect from a brand new Subaru. Now the respray panels for the most part were actually done quite well, with near perfect colour match and orange peel. So without taking paint thickness readings and doing a little investigation, it really wasn't obvious at all. But once we got to correcting the paint, I could definitely see quite a difference in how the original paint was on the softer side and far easier to remove the defects, though it did require a lighter approach to finish down perfectly, while the resprayed paint was on the harder side, taking more effort to remove the defects, but proving to be easier to finish down flawlessly. So as you'll see in the footage, I'm using two different combinations of compounds and pads to address the two different paint types, which do have different characteristics and do require two different approaches. With the harder resprayed custom paint, I used the Lake Country fibre cutting pads with the last cut compounding glaze for the first step to remove the defects quite efficiently, though it did leave some very minor haze, which I addressed in a second stage using SCHOLL Concepts S20 Black with the SCHOLL Blue Spider pads to refine the finish and maximize gloss and clarity. You'll also see that I'm using the RUPES Mille gear-driven polisher for the most part with my larger 5-inch pads, as well as the ShyMate mini polisher with my 3-inch pads for the finer edge work and tighter areas. I'll also add that you'll see me using the RUPES Mille more and more in some up and coming videos, as quite honestly I've really come to love this machine and I seem to reach for it more than any of my other polishers since I first got my hands on it a few months back. Now overall, speeds 4.5 to 5 on the Mille seems to be my sweet spot for cutting, with just light pressure in general. But I do change up my technique, speeds and pressure depending on the results that I'm seeing on each particular paint. While when it comes to finishing, I found that the Mille on speeds 3.5 to 2.5 tends to work quite well for the most part in minimizing haze and micromarring in the finish. Now, as this coding course was used to assess the detailer's skill level, knowledge and practical abilities in all areas of surface preparation, paint correction and coating application, it was quite a high-end correction process, also addressing the various car trims to maximize the learning experience and display this in the finished results. The heavily oxidized and faded black plastic trims were also corrected using the Lake Country Orange HDO pads with CONCOURS finesse polish, which, as you can hopefully see, made a dramatic difference in elevating them to a near new appearance. The aftermarket carbon fibre side mirrors were also given a polish to restore gloss and clarity that once again really amplified the overall finished product. As it goes, high-end detailing is really all about the finer details, and when you take the time or have the opportunity to address all those finer areas, that's when the finished product really does look truly amazing. Now, it's not always possible to do this, as it really does take a lot of time, which does equate to money that not every customer can afford or at least wants to pay for. So in the end, it's also based on what's appropriate and the level of work you're being paid to produce, together with the existing defects, how severe they are, and how much clear coat you have to work with. Now on the original factory paint, the finishing combination I used of SCHOLL Concepts S20 Black on the blue spider pad on the custom paint was actually my first cutting stage on the original paint. So being that the factory paint was far softer, this lighter combination was capable of removing the defects on this paint type without having to resort to something more aggressive. However, although this combination finished flawlessly on the harder custom paint, it was leaving some minor haze and marring on the softer original paint. So a second follow-up step using the Lake Country H2O orange pad with CONCOURS finesse polish was used to clean up that haze and restore maximum gloss and clarity to match the finish in the custom painted panels. So the rest of the car was completed using these two different combinations depending on whether the particular panels were resprayed or the original paint. As mentioned, the RUPES Melee was used for most of the larger panel areas, while the ShineMate Mini was used for the finer edge work, together with the RUPES iBred Nano for the super tight areas. I did my best to try and show plenty of before and after shots, as well as 50-50 shots, so that you guys could get a better idea of what the paint was like to start with, and the results that were achieved during the paint correction process. I'll keep quiet for now and just let you guys watch the remainder of the correction process, and I'll pick it up again once the car is ready for coating. Now during the certification course, the top half of the vehicle was ceramic coated with CarPro C-Quartz Professional. But for the lower panels, I'm actually using a prototype glass coating, which I've been testing for a few months now with great results. When we look at waxes and sealants today, there's quite a large choice available with quite a few different characteristics and specific targets in mind, where some are geared towards durability, while others are all about their look and finish, while some are engineered to be extremely user-friendly or speedy to apply. But with coatings in general, they still really need to have all those attributes of durability, protection, look, and slickness, and also have at least a reasonable user-friendly application. Whereas many car lovers seem to be fine with spending hundreds of dollars on top-shelf waxes that will never last even a fraction of a coating's life, which is honestly fine, but still quite interesting. So the point I'm trying to make here is that with coatings still being the newer paint protection technology, I think there's still quite a bit of room for them to grow and evolve, just like waxes and sealants have over the last few decades. So the prototype coating I'm using here is quite a specifically engineered coating that has a more focused goal in mind compared to most nano coatings on the market. So rather than it having to do everything that a coating is meant to do, this coating has been formulated with two main objectives. The first and foremost being its amazing look and ability to add outstanding amounts of saturation and depth to the paint with a truly glass-like appearance. And the second objective was its easy application, which I can confidently say is just so super easy, quick and forgiving to apply, yet it's still a true nano glass coating that does harden and will outlast any wax or sealant on the market with an estimated 12 to 18 month lifespan. So rather than having to compromise its fantastic finish or easy application to make it more durable or chemical resistant, it really is all about its look and user friendliness. But I've also discovered during testing that it's also less prone to water spotting and etches, which is just a bonus due to its more unique formula. Now on average, I'd say it takes me about 2.5 hours or so to correctly apply a layer of most nano coatings to a car, at least to a quality standard that I'm happy with. But with this coating, it's actually been taking me about an hour less to apply it to the same quality standard. And what's more, it's just a nice user experience, as it's just so easy to wipe and level down with less chance of missing any high spots. There's also a massive time window for the wiping or leveling down of the coating once you've applied it, which is really anywhere from a couple of minutes up to 10 minutes or so, depending on the weather. So you can potentially apply it to a few panels at a time and then come back and wipe it down. Or you can still work panel to panel if you wish, and it just works as well with either approach or technique. However, the one thing that has really impressed me about it is its look. I've actually tested it alongside a few other coatings, sealants, and even some waxes on the same panel. And I have to say that it has one of the most amazing finishes of any paint protection product I've tried so far. This coating still is in its testing phase, but I will do my best to keep you guys informed if and when it does go into production. I'll leave you with the final coating footage followed by the finished shots of this beautiful Subaru WRX, which I will say looked especially amazing and stunning in the end. As always, thanks so much for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe to this channel to show your support for these videos, and I'll see you guys soon.